Welcome to the Ramp Tunnels. Geologists have recently discovered this natural formation underneath Ramp Castle, and they report they've thus far uncovered 20 distinct areas to explore inside. So let's get on our harness and our safety gear and slip through the cracks into Ramp's cave-themed maps. The maps I find herein will not be rated against one another because this community project brings in newcomers and veterans alike. Instead, I'll share my thoughts on how difficult out of 10 a map is, and I'll categorize it under a style, whether that be classic Doom style or something more niche and experimental. Remember though, I'm no Doom authority and this is my uneducated opinion. If these playthroughs appeal to you, consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future, or you can let me know in the comments what you'd like for me to check out in future videos. We start out our cave journey with a treat of a map by IfGamesThenFun called Roll Out the Barrel. This map is kind of a blend between standard Doom FPS plus a pinch of strategy or puzzle, as throughout this entire experience you'll find barrels aplenty and have to be exceptionally mindful not to cause any stray bullets to start a chain reaction sending you to your grave. This challenge is made all the more tense by the introduction of Revenants and Hell Knights, leaving you to make some hard decisions about whether you absorb a projectile hit or dodge it and possibly cause your tormentor's demise along with yourself. Some custom enemies are introduced into this map for added fun, including a weaker melee-only Revenant variant and a Hell Knight variant which launches homing explosive projectiles. On top of the bunch has to be the spider barrels, which camouflage as normal barrels but then suddenly charge towards you in a kamikaze frenzy. You'll slowly progress through this map using mostly the custom bolt rifle, and towards the end the author mixes up things by unleashing spectral skeletons which cannot be killed by direct fire and can only be slain through explosion. This map was a real treat of a custom experience, and I found it gave a moderate challenge, sitting at about a 6 out of 10. A great start. Jahaliel sends us to Caco Island Getaway with the second map on the roster and has Doom Guy packing up from a lovely vacation escape, but he realizes he's left his keys somewhere on the island retreat. Of course the residents are taking Doom Guy overstaying his welcome none too kindly, as they immediately go hostile on his sun-tanned behind. Jahaliel treats us to some lovely environs here and has really taken the time to build up some nice Doom cute bushes and lighthouses and such. Accompanied with the tropical Getaway music track, you really do feel relaxed and rested as you murder your way through the locals. Of course, you left your keys right in the middle of the resort building and you're required to defend yourself against over 100 low to mid-tier monsters, with mostly the shotgun and chain gun. The authors included some miniature cacodemon variants to the map, which is a nice trick. Once you've got your gear, you head back to your boat and wave Caco Island goodbye. I'll remember this experience as a nice custom style 5 out of 10 kind of map to remember fondly. Rock Raider by DrJordo takes on more of an Indiana Jones style vibe as we delve into a cave system and uncover this hostile base among a set of ruins. It's unclear what this base's original intentions were, but whatever they may have been, it has now been completely overrun with hellish minions, as is often the case. This subterranean complex consists of a couple of wings gated by keys. The first direction is a standard tech base, but the second area takes you into more ancient ruins and a large natural chamber with lava throughout. The final direction is your means of escape, but it's no less dangerous than the other areas, as imps, shotgun zombies and hell knights all try to cleave chunks out of you, while an ancient temple structure rises from the canyon in the middle. Take out one final Guardian Arachnotron to get to safety. 4 out of 10 difficulty for this map. It stayed fairly classic in style. ElmWad, a map by ElmWood. This map's author took Ramp 2025's 10-minute map suggestion, crumpled it in a ball, threw it in the toilet, pissed on it, and then packaged that toilet in a rocket and shot it into the sun. This map took me a good hour and a half to finish on its own, and I'd be right pissed about it too if it wasn't so damn good. Suffice to say, there's no way I can succinctly or elegantly summarize this map in the 60-ish seconds I give each of these reviews, so I'm not even going to try and go through and explain all the areas and tricks and traps and texture choices and custom sprites or ambient and reactive sound effects in this map. All I'll say is that the map is so beautiful. It is punishing, it will have you tearing your hair out at some points, but you cannot hate it because so much work has been put into this experience and it is just so well made. It also feels a bit endless at some points. Hidden grottos and caves and corridors and chambers just keep opening up and revealing themselves to you as you head ever more on. Find the secret crows to get access to the secret church congregation, and a song is sung just for you. I have one criticism to give. ElmWood, you could have chosen so many ambient, eerie, ethereal backing tracks which would have lent themselves perfectly to build tension in this map. So why, oh why, did you choose to torment me with popcorn? I think I was bleeding out of every orifice by the end of this map just because I had to listen to 90 plus minutes of that song on repeat. It hurt me more than the demons ever could. 9 out of 10 difficulty, custom experience. Play this one for yourselves and be astounded. I'm a year late, but here's a Train.wad by EDGames56, or EdGames56, is the classic caboose jumpin', track riding, train hoppin' experience you'd come to expect from the name. You're a prisoner being transported on a train by some demons so incompetent they didn't even lock the cage or disarm you. There's only 27 of them on this entire ride and they thought they'd try their luck kidnapping Doom Guy? Hell must be really scraping the bottom of the barrel if this is the best they could send for the job. You'll be pretty safe in this map so long as you don't fall off the train itself, which constitutes an instant death. There are, of course, the obligatory tropes such as balancing along narrow beams and ropes and climbing up and over crates and through coal containers. There are a couple of secrets which will give you some extra weapons to take control of the train, but you'll probably be alright even if you don't find them. Once you hit the front engine's control room, you are safe. This was a fun, quick experience. 3 out of 10 difficulty, UDMF style. CMDR Disco Cat brings us sloppy, rampish third map, which kicks us off in a rocky canyon which seems to have a bit of a slime problem. You'll find a set of ancient ruins through here with some crates and supplies around, suggesting that the UAC's already set up shop here, investigating these ancient constructions. And we all know that wherever the UAC goes, demons tend to soon show up. Lo and behold, there are portals throughout this map which send us into strange metal hell-style areas filled with stronger offerings of demons. You'll quickly find a super shotgun, and if you're lucky, you'll also be treated to some rather high-res images of the author's late cat. Rest in peace, Poco. There are 3 portals total throughout this canyon to discover and clear out, each presenting progressively more dangerous threats, but Disco Cat brings us plenty of weapons and ammunition to clear out the place, especially if you keep up the trend of secret hunting. Once all portals are cleared out, you'll be equipped with the keys to exit, the switch for which is conveniently located next to the entrance. 5 out of 10 difficulty for this one, UDMF in style. Which Way is the next map by Snicky, who offers us a choice of direction to begin our journey. In this largely classic themed and textured map, you're sent to 3 distinct areas and have to puzzle your way through them by hunting switches which allow you to progress through. Each area will arm you differently and are somewhat variable in difficulty, so I think I was at an advantage by happening on the rocket launcher in the first area, which made the second area a breeze to push through, which gave me a plasma rifle. This worked well because the third area gives you only a super shotgun but pairs you up against barons and archvile and revenants, so it was certainly nice to have all the extra armaments at my disposal. After I cleared through these areas and came back to the central room and opened up one of the doors, I realized that all 3 key entry doors lead to the 1 exit switch, so I probably could have just chosen one direction then left if I wanted to, but where's the fun in that? 4 out of 10 difficulty, classic style. Down in the Hole, a map by LoatharMDPHD. This map was, quite frankly, pure chaotic energy. The decorations, texture choices, sector shapes and styling, not to mention monster choices and placement throughout this entire piece, all felt so randomised and jarring to the senses. Running through this map felt like something of a fever dream. I won't lie, for a fair portion of this map I wasn't sure if this was an AI generated map or something, because there are just some really bizarre styling choices made all the way throughout that made me wonder if a mere mortal could have concocted such a thing. From intentionally misaligned and cut off textures to jarring variations of sector light levels and lighting effects to outright missing textures creating Hall of Mirror type effects, to odd runs of teleporter lines bisecting areas which send you back to the first room. The issue was, built into and around all this bizarre absurdity, were some really impressive looking silhouettes, curious architecture, clever if obscure switches and dangerous encounters. I never felt like I knew where I was going for 1 second of this map, and yet I progressed through it in a strangely logical way that saw me clear out pretty much the entire thing and become exposed to all the areas. Lothar, I know genius and insanity are supposed to intersect a lot, but I feel like they are two wolves fighting in your brain and I don't know which one is winning. I liked this map somehow. Really challenged my preconceptions about how a map should be structured and built. Difficulty was 8 out of 10, fairly high. I don't even know what style to put this under, so I might even just slap it under bespoke. 2 hours to map, no time to test. That's the philosophy Micuu seems to have had with their map Speed Cave. Luckily for them it worked. Speed Cave dumps you in a grey rock cavern, hands you a shotgun, then sends you off to business. There are 3 distinct chambers in this map which must be cleared in order to leave, and the first one starts us off fairly tamely. If you hunt around, you can also find the super shotgun, which will be more than enough to help you survive the first area. Travelling down some rocky stairs to the second section though is where things start getting tough. A blue key lies on a central pillar amidst a watery well, and you just know that the second you touch that thing, bad things are going to happen. This is the toughest fight in this map and will likely take you half a dozen tries to get the flow right, but once you're able to thin the Revenant horde a bit and get a good circular motion going, you'll be able to blast apart the demons in this room without too much more trouble. The final area seems intimidating at first with a Cyber Demon friend, Hell Knights galore and Mancubus turrets, but the BFG and dozens of cell packs trivialises much of this, allowing you to clear out the mob with barely a sweat broken. Ascend the stairs to your freedom. 6 out of 10 difficulty, classic in style. Heaven is Forever 2 by CBake is another tribute map to a dearly passed cat companion, Amelia. The fact that there's multiple of these throughout Ramp is both touching and saddening. This colourful cave system has some interesting custom elements to it, starting with some rather devastating weaponised alarm systems and delicious pizza pickups. This is a small but dangerous canyon map with bright pink watery goo, which makes the entire encounter feel like it's taking place on some psychedelic alien planet. You'll be dodging buzzsaws and purple winding missiles from the custom monsters in this map, while also fighting your way through Doom's standard roster with a super shotgun. Towards the end, you're given a rocket launcher but are ambushed by arachnotrons and pain elementals. If you manage not to blow yourself up, you can exit shortly thereafter. This map was a quick, explosive piece of action. 5 out of 10 difficulty, custom in style. Start an Adventure by Numsoic is a clever little play on words, as this entire cave system from floor to ceiling is plastered with variants of the Startan texture, even going so far as to use the green Startan wall texture as a stand-in for nukage. Gimmick aside, this fog-filled cavern ramps up its challenge quite surprisingly at some points, throwing vast amounts of pinkies at you as well as some custom ethereal versions, plus alternately palleted lost souls, while you're forced to fend them off with a chain gun. Revenants, Mancubi, Cacodemons and Hell Knights become the staple enemy by the time you upgrade to the rocket launcher and super shotgun, and you'll often find yourself fighting off multiple of each type of these at the same time as you delve deeper into this Startan mess. Some of the sector elements here are really interesting, and it makes me wonder what this map would look like if it were redecorated with standard cave textures. Difficulty sits at a 6 out of 10 for this map, and it has UDMF elements. Lord Pachellus gives us a somewhat different playstyle with Canyons of Desolation. We open up to a mini tutorial handing you a torch, which purports to be essential in dark areas, and the Baphomet's heart, which is apparently what you came to this cave system to find. This heart damages you a little bit, but also lets you deal some damage to a monster in your sight. Alternatively, you can summon a fiery spirit to aid you in combat with it. Unfortunately, I barely ended up bringing out the heart again once I picked up another weapon, as I found it simply too underpowered. And honestly, I forgot I even had the flashlight altogether. Nonetheless, Pachellus gives us a really cool, twisted, hellish canyon environment to explore our way through, and provides some fascinating custom monsters to fight against as well in the second half of this map. They also give us a few other weapons which did find their way onto my standard roster, such as the Smasher auto shotgun and the sniper rifle. The overall playstyle of this map felt very much less standard Doom, and felt more like a slow and careful approach was needed throughout a lot of it. Every encounter felt significant and deadly, so it was essential to keep your focus throughout. A fun change of pace altogether. 7 out of 10 difficulty for this one, custom in style. Island Misadventures is a map by Sockey, which starts us stranded on a desert island filled with hostile demons. You'll find over 100 of the 300 monster count all exists outside in this initial area, so get ready to dodge imp fireballs and run for stim packs to survive the hit scanner attacks. Once you've cleared the exterior of the island, you can start working on the cave inside. This is a little less frantic and somewhat more methodical as you travel down several different cave tunnel systems to clear out the threats. You'll be armed differently depending on which way you go first, but either way, be prepared to fight hard because Sockey saved all the high tier monsters for you inside. You'll be up against barons and spider masterminds before you think you're even ready for them. I found that every room in the interior of this cave system has strictly provisioned ammunition, as I felt like I always had just the right amount of ammo to survive each room with barely a shell remaining. I could never build up a stockpile of ammo even by the end encounter. The last room took me a few goes to figure out. It's a cruel mix of Baron and Revenant turrets with a caged archvile, some demons, and a cyber demon that raises up if you step in the wrong spot. It was a little bit overwhelming at first until I was able to clear my way up to the invulnerability. All in all, a fun map that pushed my patience a couple of times. 7 out of 10 difficulty, UDMF style. Next up is a map that I playtested an early version of, Dr. Catastrophe and the Cydonia Ziggurat by MDJ. When I played this map initially, I had an absolute blast, but I did find that the weapons were a little bit unbalanced, and I ended up finding the pistol overpowered enough to use right up until the end. I'm pleased to say that the weapons feel more evenly spread now, and I found myself pretty much using all of the offerings interchangeably as I made my way through this map. Dr. Catastrophe and the Cydonia Ziggurat reminds me a lot of classic 90s larger-than-life apogee video games like Biomenace or Alien Carnage or Major Striker. I'm not exactly sure why this is, but the nostalgia kick really does it for me. You're sent on a mission against novel variant demons to go save scientists and find the titular Dr. Catastrophe and rescue him from imminent danger. To do this, you have to, of course, hunt for various things to get you through areas, like a hazard suit that lets you walk through poisonous goo. Of course, you find the good doctor inside the Cydonia Ziggurat, where the plot thickens and he opens up a portal to disappear through, leaving you to fight hordes of demons, including a nice boss variant Mehzeb with Sidewinder missiles. 6 out of 10 difficulty for this one for me, and it goes under adventure. I'd love to see more of this story. Tiny Huge Speed Map is a fun map by Culka, which I'm guessing was also made as a bit of a speed mapping challenge. It starts you off in a fairly simplistic island with a couple of huts and some resources in them, and a small hill with some monsters and a central ramp to a hollowed out obelisk. Inside this obelisk is a portal which drops you down onto the same island, except now you're huge and the monsters are tiny. You're able to put down most of the monsters here with just a couple of shots, and they don't pose much of a threat to you. Of course, you then jump into the portal for a second time and the roles are reversed. You end up tiny and the monsters around are all huge and dangerous. Everything takes significantly more firepower to take out, and the end fight with a giant cyber demon is downright terrifying. All in all, not a too challenging map fortunately, and it had a fun gimmick, 4 out of 10 difficulty, custom in style. Pass of Kavik is a nicely made map by ShortRedBlade, which sets us up in this beautifully detailed snowed under cave system / base. The author packs a lot of detail into a small space, and throughout the entire map you can't help but feel a little cramped in and claustrophobic. Monsters will make good use of vertical space to attack you from above and below as you navigate through the cave system. And it's not until you get the red key about halfway through this map that you're given a super shotgun to begin contending with some of the more dangerous monsters in the complex. Despite making use of some UDMF elements like action triggers on monster deaths and the use of jumping, this map manages to keep a really classic feel all the way through, all the way up to the end area, where you're hunting for a blue key amidst a cramped set of rooms and passages while fending off Hell Knights and Mancubi. Release this key by shooting a tucked away switch and then you are free to leave. 5 out of 10 difficulty, UDMF style. Ruin D by Mehzeb ChowDhury is a curious map which blends lots of textures and elements together into an interesting experience. The author can be seen experimenting with different effects such as floor glow and fog as you progress through this map, as well as some less commonly seen UDMF features such as pressable obstacles in lieu of standard switches. It ends up being a real grab bag of features by the end of this cave system, as things like HUD message and mirrored walls end up being features, as well as a very dangerous quake effect towards the end of the map. It looks like Mehzeb has taken Ramp as an opportunity to get a little bit experimental and gain some familiarity with the different offerings available to mappers in a UDMF environment, which is great to see. The final encounter with a cyber demon and archvile combined with the damaging quake effect was quite a challenge. 5 out of 10 difficulty overall, UDMF style. Cave Ascent by CRNavoda is next. This map makes great use of the classic vanilla texture set and sends us on a constant path upwards through a cave system centered around this enigmatic central chamber with a bloody waterfall. The author branches out into using some UDMF elements by way of actor-triggered actions and a nice 3D floor bridge splitting up the central chamber. Your main weapon of choice will be the super shotgun throughout, even as you're sent up against barons, Mancubi and archviles on your ascent. However, you are provisioned a rocket launcher and a modest amount of rockets to supplement this. CRNavoda sends the player into a rougher textured cave for the final third of this map, as they up the difficulty with beefier monsters and tighter encounters on the final hunt for the red key. If they can survive the final influx of Hell Nobles and Archviles, they'll be free to leave. Difficulty is 6 out of 10, UDMF in style. Crevice of the Blood-Stained Sun by The Ghoul from Hell starts us off in this ashen-walled canyon as we delve into this demon-infested region. Astute players will find an early super shotgun which makes the initial encounters much more comfortable to deal with, and we're soon sent along this cliffside pass to reach a dungeon-like cage maze with impassable doors leading through to hellish environments. We reach the other side of this tunnel, now equipped with a plasma rifle, and clear off the remaining few threats before reaching the final encounter, a cyber demon. Luckily, we're provided an absolute wheelbarrow full of ammunition to placate it, so the beast doesn't pose too much of a threat. Boss defeated, we take our leave into the black cave ahead. Difficulty is 4 out of 10 for this one, classic in style. The final map, Pines by Aviator, I noticed had the same screen title art as Tiny Huge Speedmap by Culka, so I'm not sure what's going on there. This map appears to be enormous in scope. Unfortunately, it appears that at least as of snapshot 1410 of Ramp, this map is missing some elements to it and wasn't in a playable state for me. It does appear there's a large amount of work that's been done on this map though, so I'll be sure to test this out for a make-up episode I'm planning in the future, in the hopes that the latest snapshot of Ramp has these final bugs ironed out. And that's all the nooks, crannies, crevices and caves I could find in the Ramp tunnels. With that, I close this chapter of Ramp 2025, having played every map on offer this year to the best of my ability and offering thoughts on every single one. If I still find myself with energy in the coming days or weeks, I may still have one more micro episode up my sleeve where I return to some of the maps I couldn't quite get to work in the current snapshot, and see if I can finish those out. If you've stumbled onto this video and are interested in playing these maps yourself, I fully encourage you to download Ramp 2025 and see what some of the communities put together. Alternatively, you can find a playthrough of all the maps on my Ramp 2025. Alternatively, you can find a playthrough of all the maps on Ramp 2025 on my channel.